It's mid-December 2020, and that means lots of year-end wrap-up articles and videos are appearing on your favorite gaming media channels. So, why should the Board Game Guy be any different? Well, I always try to do things a little differently, and for me, a year in review is more about the games that were new to me rather than just plain new. I don't care if a game came out in the year 2020 or the year 20. If I learned it this year, it counts as new. Too many people get caught up in the cult of the new and don't spend enough time looking back at the classics and the hidden gems that this hobby has to offer. My particular slant does mean that I miss out on many of the super hyped games of any given year, but if they are truly good enough or just popular enough to live up to their hype, I get around to them eventually. I don't ignore or avoid new games, but since it's impossible for the ordinary human being to keep up with every game published in any given year, I decided long ago not to even try. Because of my job, most years I learn 80 or more new games. 2018 was a standout year with over 130 new titles added to my database. This year, however, was different in the other direction. COVID-19 had our Toronto locations at work closed for in-house dining for most of the year, so my need and opportunity to keep adding titles to my repertoire was diminished. Only 21 new-to-me games got added to my list this year. Just like some years, I loved some, hated others, and many didn't make any impression at all. I have absolutely no memory of playing at least one of the games on my list this year. So, what did I learn? Wavelength and guerrilla marketing both got mentioned in my video on the best party games, so it's pretty obvious how I feel about those two. Azul's Summer Pavilion is a worthy entry into the Azul family. I enjoyed it much more than Windows of Sintra, but having only played it a couple of times, I haven't formed an opinion as to whether or not I like it more than the original Azul itself. Brass Birmingham is a lovely game with many decisions, which I love, but it has more setup and teardown than I really like in a game. With its Industrial Revolution theme and resource improvement mechanisms, it is very reminiscent of Le Havre, which is one of my all-time favorite games. It's a good game, and it does lots of things differently from Le Havre, so there are reasons to have both, but I think I'd still rather play Le Havre than Brass. Your mileage may vary. Victorian Masterminds by Antoine Bauza and my friend Eric Lang was a lot of fun. A combination of worker placement, set collection, resource management, and more. It has great bits, which I know aren't synonymous with good gameplay, but I think definitely enhance the play experience. Lots of people have tried the mad scientist theme on for size, and I think Victorian Masterminds does it well. Potion Explosion is the first game that I learned how to play on Board Game Arena without ever having actually played the physical game before. I'm sure I'm missing out on the tactile experience of the game, and I know that the expansions add elements that only work when you have a physical copy, but even still, I really liked it. I've played it over 100 times this year on BGA, and so take that as whatever sort of endorsement you like. Players are student wizards making potions in class by drawing marbles from a tilted rack so that every time they take out a marble, an ingredient, all those above it roll down. And whenever two marbles of the same type collide, the eponymous potion explosion occurs, and you get to take all the exploding marbles for your use. This may cause chain reaction explosions, which are very satisfying. I ordered the Roll and Write game on tour on a lark from BoardGameTables.com because I have a fondness for the roll and write concept, even if many of them end up being disappointing in the long run. On Tour is an enjoyable entry into the genre. Players are scheduling a cross-continental tour for their band, and they have to make the most out of a combination of luck of the card draw and luck of the numbered dice. Sturdy dry erase player boards mean no running out of score pads, unlike some roll and writes. Parks from Keymaster Games is beautiful to look at, but I felt overstayed its welcome at the table a little bit. You play 4 rounds, which are seasons, so I get why they chose to have 4. Thematically, it makes sense, but it made the game seem a little bit long. And one of my opponents fell behind very early and was discouraged by being unable to catch up at all. So if you don't like games where early missteps can be disastrous, avoid parks. If, however, you are a fan of beautiful art, the nature theme, and interesting choices to make, you may want to check it out. It seems that Uwe Rosenberg is not done with the polyomino-based games. The mind behind Patchwork, Cottage Garden, Indian Summer, and Second Chance is back with New York Zoo, which is basically a hybrid of his earlier game Patchwork and the 2007 Spiel des Jahres winning Zuleretto by Michael Schacht. If you liked either of those 2 games, there's a really good chance that you will enjoy New York Zoo a lot. That isn't nearly all the games I learned this year, but it is the highlights. Far and away, my favorite discovery of 2020 is the website BoardGameArena.com. With dozens of digital ports of traditional board games and more being added all the time, BGA was a lifesaver for my sanity during the quarantine times. And until a vaccine for COVID-19 is in wide release and we can once again game in person with friends and strangers, BGA is my go-to outlet for this wonderful hobby. Until then, I'm Steve Tassi, the Board Game Guy, wishing you a happy holiday and asking you to stay home, stay masked, and stay healthy.